Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we're going to talk about inheritance. So inheritance is an important topic in object-oriented programming, and it is a way of creating a new class for using details of existing class without modifying it. So what I really mean is you have a child and a parent class. So let me show you here quick example. So let me make a here bird class. So this is a bird class and you have a penguin class. So bird is your parent class and penguin is your child class. That means when you make use of inheritance between these classes, then you can use all of the method that is defined in this base class, which is bird class, which can have multiple attributes, and it can also have the multiple our methods, and that can be reusable inside this penguin class. That means you can just copy and paste inside this penguin class. So let's take the example. So here the newly formed class is a derived class, which is basically a child class, and our existing class is normally called as a base class or a parent class. So let's take the example. So in this example we'll just create the two class. So first class, I'll just make a parent class here. So this parent class is our class name with bird, and this is the way to create our class. So as you know, the first method always in the class will be the initializer or the constructor, and let me give the argument, which would be obviously the self, which is pointing to current class. So let me just print now, and that should be giving message to the user bird is ready, because this class or this is our bird class. So I'll just say bird is ready over here. So let me just make another method over here. It is saying who is this. So I'll just say who is this method, and as you know, the first argument is always it will be self, and we'll just say print it is obviously the bird class. So I'll just say bird, and now the next would be our new method, and I'll just say swim. And if I just say swim, and let me just define this method, and it contains, that is the print statement containing swim faster, because bird can swim. So now it's time to make a child class. So I'll just say this should be the child class over here, and this child class is our penguin class. So let's make over here, it should be over here. So let me say penguin. So it is our penguin class, and in order to support the inheritance you have to make use of this parenthesis and give the colon. So inside the parenthesis you have to provide the name of a parent class which has to be inherited to this child class. So in this case we have a parent class as a bird, so let me just put a bird over here. So if it was something like, let me just make another class like class, and let me say animal, and if you want to just inherit from this animal, then it should be animal over here. But in this case we want to inherit from this bird, that means I'll just say bird. Now it's time to just give the definition to this class. As always, first of all we have to just define the initializer or a constructor for this penguin class. So let me just quickly define this over here. So it should be like init, and let me just pass a self. So what we do in this init is basically we'll just call this super. So what this super does, so let me just define this super first, and this super method is really powerful method, and it basically calls our parent class initializer. That means when you just make the object of this penguin, as I've already said you in the previous lecture, when you create the penguin object, let me just create this P as a penguin object, the first method that is automatically going to invoke is this init method. And in the init method we have something that is this statement saying super and init. So it is just calling this init method of our parent class. So it will just check this inheritance, and we have bird over here. That means the code or the interpreter or a parser will just redirect to this class init method, and it will just say print bird is ready. So it is just invoking the init method of this parent class. So super is really important. It will just call the method of your parent class. So just remember that. So next, after just making this super call, what you're going to do is we'll just say print penguin is ready. So we'll just say penguin is ready. So after this, which will basically print bird is ready, which is in this initializer. So this statement is printed. After this statement is printed, we'll say penguin is ready in this initializer. So let's make another method, and I'll just say who is this. That is same method that we have over this bird class. So I'll just say self is as always the default argument. Let me make a space over here, and let me just print that is penguin in this, because it is a penguin class. So I'll just say penguin. So after this, what we're gonna do next is to define a run method. So penguin cannot swim basically, so I'll just define this run method in this penguin, and in this run method we'll just say print me that is run faster. So now we have created this method for our penguin. Now it's time to just create the object of this penguin in our base class. So instead of making this parent class object, we'll just make this child class object. So let's make this child class object as Peggy. Peggy is our penguin name. So I'll just say penguin. So if you see here, this initializer doesn't contain any argument or parameter over here. It is only the self, and I've already said that this self is not to be parsed. That means you need not to do something like this, then it is error over here. So you just left it empty. That means you have created now the Peggy object, which is this penguin class object. So next thing what you need to do is we'll just call this who is this. So I'll say who is this method. So if you just call this who is this, and after this I'll just say Peggy dot swim, and now I'll just say Peggy dot run method. So when I just save this code and run this with the F5, then you could see bird is ready. Obviously we have already said this super is basically the way to call this initializer of your parent class. So we can see clearly here bird is ready is printed at first, and after that penguin is ready because it is the initializer of your penguin class, and after that it is just calling the who is this method of this penguin. Basically it is saying penguin, and after that we'll just say swim method. So if you wonder this swim, we don't have any swim in this penguin. So I have already said it before, in order to make a call of this method we have to have this method over here, but in this case we don't have swim in this penguin, but it is in this bird. So if you see here, we have a that is swim method in this bird class, but we don't have that swim method in this penguin class. So it is because due to this inheritance. So what inheritance basically does is it will just copy all of your code, that is all of these methods, and it basically prints or basically paste out over here. So it is same as saying that. So you just take all of the code and you just go over here and print me down. So it is same as saying that. So basically what we have here is we just take all of the code of our parent class, which is a bird, and let me paste here. So now we have a swim, and we can call this swim. So basically we have now swim faster, and run is obviously our penguin class method, which is run faster was also printed. So let's get back to the original code, and we could see here we have inheritance to be supported using this parenthesis should be provided, and inside this parenthesis what you need to do is you have to put this base class or a parent class which should be inherited inside this penguin. So now what we need to do is we need to make use of this inheritance, and in order to make use of the inheritance we can call the method of our base class, and it would work fine because we have now access to this bird class completely. We can access these methods, its attribute, like we have its own in this penguin. So if you have something like, let me say, define here the new method, that is new method, and it has that is a self argument, and if I just say print me down, that is new, and basically if I save this down, and again let me just call this new, that is new method, then you could see the new method is also just inherited in this basically our child class, which is due to this inheritance. So just remember that we have to put this inheritance inside this parenthesis, and inside this parenthesis you just provide or specify your parent class name. So this will be the wrap for this lecture. In the next lecture we'll just learn about the encapsulation and the polymorphism. See you in the next one.